Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Top Cut. I am Kyle Pooka. I'll be filling in as the host today since our buddy Krim is a little under the weather today. He's here in spirit as a bouncing cat. But with me, I have Drew Holton. Hi, Drew.
Woo!
So that I was
Hey
waiting for.
Kyle, how's it going?
Good. How you been?
You
Oh,
got me sick, man. I got a bone to pick with you. I've been for the past 2 weeks since coming back from regionals.
Not bad. I also have Ben, Great White Hope, Ben Potter. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing good. I took down Lance by myself.
Sure did. Live on stream.
I'm a
How
Snorlax.
do you feel about it?
I feel pretty tired now. I want to take a rest.
Well, we'll get back to you then. And of course, we have the one and only Michael Pram. How you doing, Pram?
Doing good. What's up, guys? All you out there?
All right. So, first order of business will be regionals. Of course, it was 2 weeks ago by now. We didn't have a show last week, so we can discuss it this week. All of us went to regionals. Drew didn't play, but all of us went. So we'll just kind of get a recap of what you guys thought of the weekend. And I guess Pram did the best out of all of us. So, Pram, why don't you go ahead and tell your story from regionals?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. We had 9 rounds, top 32, 270-ish masters, maybe 280, something like that. I got top 32, and I lost to Ho-Oh, so that was a little disappointing. I was using the Moss Ride deck or Hammer Time, whatever. And yeah, I went 7-2, made top cut because 7-2s were basically guaranteed, and yeah, had a pretty decent regionals, but I'll get more on that later.
All right. So, what made you decide to go with the Moss Rye? I guess you want to call it.
Well, I know Jason gets a little peeved every time he hears the word Moss Rye, so I've been trying to spread that around, just getting everyone to say it. I mainly picked it because I didn't really like any deck in particular, so I just went with the deck that just kind of drew the most cards, really. I wanted something that was like, hey, if I'm gonna draw bad, because I know I will, I'm gonna have a way to fix it. If I'm gonna, and Darkrai is just broken, so when you just don't draw bad, or rather when you don't draw horrible and you have a broken EX, things seem to work out all right.
Okay. Fair enough. Were you happy with the deck you chose?
Yeah, actually, I think like every game I played, I only really lost to I mean, like, except for like the mirror match, I played it round 9. Every other game I only lost because I just drew awful, or my opponents just went like ridiculous. Like, so yeah, I think the deck overall is really good. I would probably put it at like top 3 at least in the format. And it's just a really solid, simple, hey, I'm just gonna hit you with Darkrai, and I'm gonna do my bench damage in a such a way that I'm gonna be really efficient with this, and it's just a really efficient beatdown deck.
Okay. And were you disappointed with your performance in the top 3?
Yeah, I guess I can go ahead and tell my little sob story. So basically what happens, I went 7-2, made top 32. I knew I was up against Ho-Oh, and he gets to go first game 1, and then proceeds to get a turn 3 Land Crush, as I was missing every Crushing Hammer flip. And well, he had turn 3 energy for Land Crush. I actually got a Confusion Heads, which made it a turn 4 Land Crush, but whatever. He then proceeded to go 3 for 3 on rebirths and 2 for 2 on super scoop up. So I kind of just got flipped out of the game at that point. Almost came back with a late game end, but you know, every time you late game end them, they always like play their hand down and then draw for the turn and then go, hey, supporter. So that's pretty much how my game 1 ended. Game 2 ended a pretty standard Darkrai versus Ho-Oh game where you know, it goes kind of back and forth, but at the end, Darkrai usually I found that Darkrai usually won that matchup if like things didn't go too crazy on either side. So that's pretty much what happened. And then game 3, I started with Lone Sableye. He got to go first, and T1 Rainbow burned me after getting 3 Ho-Ohs in the discard. And that was how I was eliminated. So, yeah. I think we may have lost Kyle. I don't know. But I guess I'll take over.
I think you just fell asleep from your boring story.
I think he's trying to finish that water, man. He's pretty thirsty.
Chug, 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 chug.
Alright, so while we wait for Kyle to come back, is any Ben, you want to tell us how you did?
Yeah, I'll let everybody know. I did pretty bad. I think I pulled the Philadelphia Eagles. I started 3-1 and then lost the rest of my games. I lost to Blastoise like turn 2 170 and 190 twice at the very end. And basically I had this really internal struggle right before the tournament. Do I want to play Klazurai or do I want to play Virizion? And I actually really liked Virizion. I realized like it just beats Blastoise 100%. And then I decided to go with Darkrai just because I hadn't tested Virizion very much. But I think Virizion would have been the best choice based on what I played. But who knew what I was going to play? But I realize now Virizion could even beat like Darkrai decks as long as I play real smart. So I'm pretty disappointed in my deck choice because I wish I had been gutsy enough to make that call. Excuse me. And I know I would have had a lot more fun throughout the day versus playing Darkrai and just having horrible things happen to me. But overall, I had a lot of fun at the tournament. Met some new people. Everybody's cool, and I really enjoyed myself.
Cool. So, Drew, I know you...
Can you guys hear me again?
Hey, yeah. We were just taking over while you were away, but...
Yeah, I could hear you, but I couldn't talk for some reason.
Alright, well, you want to take over?
Alright, Drew, I know these guys went to Virginia. You were with me at St. Louis. What was your experience like besides me getting you sick?
It was a pretty good experience. I don't know, everything wrong that went down happened because of you, Kyle. So we'll start with Friday night. Yeah, I drive there after work. It's like a 6.5 hour drive. So I get there like midnight-ish, and Kyle is, of course, out to eat with his friends. You know, he's at a party or something, having the time of his life. And he leaves me in the hotel parking lot by myself. I can't get into the hotel without Kyle. So I'm just sitting there for like hours and hours. And finally, he moseys his way back so I can go get some sleep before the next day. And then we get there. And I do my thing, you know, doing a little bit of commentary. So I hope you guys like that. I didn't play it all. It seemed like it went pretty well. There was a lot of like video issues throughout the day. It kept cutting out, but we tried our best. So hopefully you guys like that, like seeing all the rounds. And then we go into Sunday. Kyle got me sick, of course. I have like a terrible sore throat, stuff like that. I am glad I left Sunday morning though, because it was a 6.5 hour drive, and I forgot there was like a time change. So I got home at like 8 o'clock, and I left at like 10. So it was a good weekend. Good weekend. I probably would not do it again.
Hey, that is the most exaggerated story I've ever heard, but okay.
Yeah,
That's your side.
that was man. You like stood over me while I was sleeping and coughed. I think I felt horrible the past 2 weeks. I can't even describe it. That's as bad as I've felt in like 3 years. Kyle, thanks.
He's just sleeping, like you're sleeping. He's just coughing over you.
And yeah, and on top of that, I'm a tax accountant, and our busy season just started at work, like the Monday after regionals. So I got sick, and then I had to work 10 hours starting the next day. So it was a good experience. Thanks, Al. You're a good friend.
Do what I can. That pizza we got Saturday night probably didn't help.
That was the worst pizza I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. If you guys are in St. Louis, I would avoid, what was it, Emo's Pizza? That was called. Yeah. It was not very good. I think the cheese was like Velveeta cheese on top of it. It's pretty gross.
Yeah, gotta hate on emos. Sorry.
Yeah, I would not recommend it. Alright. So, did you enjoy your time in St. Louis? You were only there for pretty much the one day, but how did you enjoy your time?
Yeah, I think it was worth it for you guys. I mean, we do it all for you guys promoting the game of Pokemon, so it was a good experience. I enjoyed myself. I like people coming up to us all day, asking us questions, hanging out. It's always great to see the fans. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for coming up and saying hi at the event. It just made my whole weekend. Woo!
And what about the little girl that was tormenting you the whole time?
What little girl? Oh, except for her, jeez. There's a local player that was at regionals. She's a little girl. She's like 10. I've known her probably like half her life. She's only 10 now. She's been going to events, but she like beats me up. This 10-year-old girl would just. She has her playmat that she plays on. She was just beating me the whole day with that thing. I couldn't get rid of her. I don't know what to do when a little kid is attacking me. I don't want to hurt him, you know? Can't do anything.
Gotta defend yourself.
You're stuck.
I'm a pushover, man. This is why I'm not going to have kids ever.
Alright, I can't tell if I'm lagging again, but...
You sound fine.
Alright. Well,
So, how was your week?
You look like a Pikachu on a surfboard, though.
yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Well, I actually Mickey Moused you or something with your head on it. You know that? You remember that one?
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Good. Alright. My regional was okay. I went 6-3 with Ho-Oh. Just had games where I didn't really draw much, but that can be the format sometimes. I knew that going into it. Then Sunday, I just helped the stream, did commentary. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We had some internet issues. Go figure. Day one, we had camera issues. Day two, we had internet issues. So the stream wasn't always great. We had a lot of problems that weekend. And apologize for all that stuff. But hopefully you guys enjoyed being able to see the matches. I appreciate everyone that came up to me. I had a fun weekend. Didn't really get that sick, which was good. Usually I get very sick after these events, but I survived this one.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
Passed it along to Drew this time. So thanks, Drew, for being there.
You can hear it. I'm dying.
And I'm looking forward. What's that? Sorry. I'm looking forward to States, and looking forward to this new set. Hopefully we can provide more coverage and all that good stuff. And hopefully I can do well at a big event this year. Otherwise I'm not going to be going to Worlds. That's it's crunch time in the season, I think, for most of us.
Quit your whining.
What?
Quit your whining.
Who's whining?
You are.
How am I whining?
You have plenty of points. You have plenty of points. Share the wealth. Share the wealth.
I have 235, so I need to do really well at states and regionals.
It's 85 more than I have.
All right.
Woo!
Quit being jealous, all right?
Not jealous.
You're the one whining over there.
No, I'm not.
All right. So regionals, it's over. It's done. We can move on. But were there any results that surprised you guys? I don't know, not just from your own regional, but from others. I know there's one. There was one regional that had all Rayquaza electric decks in the top 3. So, were any results that surprised you? We'll start with Drew.
Man, I wasn't paying attention when you were talking.
So we'll start with Ben.
Yeah, thank you.
Not particularly. No. I guess I expected Blastoise to win the most, and I think it won 2, and everything else won 1. But other than that, nothing was really surprising. Yeah.
All right.
No.
Pram, anything surprise you?
I'm looking through the top 4 lists right now, and you know the electric decks are just really good. Like if Blastoise has got so huge that like it obviously just knocked out all the Landorses, and then electric versus Blastoise. Like if electric sets up, it just wins. So no surprises there. The rest of them seem pretty standard. I mean, like there's the most interesting deck out of all the top 4s would probably be the Darkrai Garbodor deck ran by Dylan Bryan, but other than that, everything else seems pretty standard. So nothing too surprising. Everyone kind of figured out the format by the end of Cities, so yeah, we just saw a repeat of that.
All right, and Drew, did you look yet?
I looked. I probably wouldn't be surprised if any random combination of Pokemon won, so nothing too surprising there. It just seems like EX Pokemon are really, really good, and I saw that all day. And these seem to be the types of decks that I saw all day. You got the Radios, the Blastoise, Darkrai, a bunch of random basic Pokemon EXs. Looks like we got all our bases covered here. Woo!
All right. For me, the surprising thing was that there were 3 Garbodor decks, the top 4 at regionals. That's pretty unexpected.
Pretty good deck, man.
Especially our regional. There were, at our regional, 3 of the top 8 were Garbodor, Landorus, Mewtwo decks. So it just kind of took over. Didn't end up winning. Andrew Kreckler was the Garbodor Slayer. He just kept skating by somehow. But yeah, it was surprising how big that deck was, at least for me. But otherwise, yep, pretty standard stuff. The triple Rayquaza Electric in the top 3 at Oregon was a little shocking, but other than that, looks pretty standard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Before we move on to Plasma Storm, do you guys have anything else you want to mention about regionals?
Yeah.
Other than thanks to everyone who came and say hi. It was great meeting you guys. All that. But yeah.
I really like the VGC. I think that'll be fun. I'm gonna venture into that a little bit, maybe. We'll see. But I had a good time.
All
Yeah.
right.
Woo! I think it might have been surprising that Andrew won after like the round 3 or 4 game I did where he got destroyed by Garbodor. And then he figured it out and took it out the rest of the way though, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, he beat it in top 8, top 4, and the finals, actually. It's pretty
Yeah.
weird, but
I think I
impressive.
jinxed him. I think I said like maybe he can avoid it the rest of the day or something like that.
Yeah, then he just played it the rest of the day.
Oops.
Okay, so the next set coming up, pre-release has already happened. We have all the scans. Plasma Storm is here, and we're just going to take a look through the set, and we'll see what cards catch everyone's eye, and we'll see what you guys think of the cards that I found. I picked up pretty much anything that could be possibly interesting or playable, and I think in this set, everyone can agree that the trainers are going to be the biggest impact makers, I guess, in the whole set. So I guess just start off with the trainers, and then we'll head into the Pokemon. So, number one for trainers, we're going to have Hypnotoxic Laser, and then we're going to combine it with the Verbank City Gym since they kind of go hand in hand. Hypnotoxic Laser, it's an item. You play it, it automatically poisons the defending Pokemon, and then you flip a coin if its heads. They're also asleep. Verbank City Gym, a stadium. You put 2 additional damage counters on a Pokemon that's poisoned already. So basically, with these 2 cards, you can do plus 30 damage to a Pokemon. What do you think about this combo? We'll start with Ben first.
I don't know where they got a gun. That wasn't in the video game. I don't remember that. But the card by itself, Hypnotoxic Laser, I don't really think is that interesting or that good. But when you combine it with Verbank and you consider that you're doing 30 extra damage a turn and possibly putting them asleep, that seems like a really good combination. I imagine it makes a lot of math really good, and I could see the combination in almost any deck, whatsoever. Meaning there's got to be more switch and stuff like that. But we'll see, and I really think it's an interesting card, maybe a little overpowered.
Okay. Drew, what do you think about the laser and the Verbank?
I don't know what the game designers are thinking when they create stuff like this. This is clearly broken. I don't why would you think about this? Hypnotoxic Laser, I think, is already better than Plus Power. You can't stack it like Plus Power, but with the Verbank City Gym, you're doing plus 30 anyways, so it's absurd. And if you think about it, if whatever your opponent has active, if it can't get unactive, it's taking plus 60 by the time it gets back to you, which is outrageous. With a little two card combo, simple combo, it's outrageous. Very good. I think we'll see 4 toxic lasers and everything. I think that is what we're seeing in Japan, right? So
yeah, pretty much crazy. Anything except for Blastoise goes 4 Hypnotoxic. Just because Blastoise can't afford the space.
So do you think this sort of thing is good or bad for the game?
I think it's bad for the game. It's not really a complex combo or anything. Anyone can throw 4 of them into their deck, and you sort of start to see where poison battles or something like that take control of games, which isn't good in my opinion, and where whoever can't get their active out of the active spot ends up losing, stuff like that. It's just no fun.
Okay. And Pram, what do you think?
Obviously the 2-card combo, that 2-card combo is really good, just the fact that you get 2 statuses off potentially 2 statuses off a trainer card or item card is really, really strong, it's just so much better than Plus Power, way better. You can do turn 1 Landorus 60 to your Squirtle, 30 to something else, or it makes Darkrai math really spot on with against Blastoise. So definitely the most potent card in the format. Definitely the most in the format.
Seems like this is going to be the most influential card in the set. Does anyone disagree with that? Does anyone think this card is not going to be that good?
No.
Can you say no to a potential at least 30 damage, potentially 60, and if it is 60, it's 90 because you're not going to move it. So it's 30 or 90
damage. Colress Machine might be able to stand up to it, but probably not.
You'll probably see them together.
Oh yeah, they're on a team. Oh no spoilers, guys.
Alright, so clearly this is probably the most influential card in the set. It's going to be played in a ton of decks. Probably not going to be able to avoid this. And this is probably the strongest thing coming out of Plasma Storm, which is weird to think about since it's just an item and a stadium, but that's just how good it is. Go figure. Next card on the list is going to be Ether. Basically, you just reveal the top card of your deck. If it's basic energy, you just attach it to one of your Pokemon. If not, you put it back. So it's a way for decks to just kind of generate energy out of nowhere. It can help decks like the Landorus Mewtwo deck that just didn't have any energy acceleration. It can help with being aggressive early on. Obviously, there's some randomness and some risk involved since you don't always know the top card of your deck. You can manipulate that with cards like Pokedex, but it's still going to be kind of unreliable. But is it worth playing, and will it make an impact? We'll start with Pram.
You know, I don't think like on surface seems like really strong, but the more I thought about it, like every deck has some sort of energy acceleration that they're running anyways, for the most part. So like they can't it's going to come down to a decision: do I run Hypnotoxic Laser, or do I run Ether? And they're always just going to pick the laser. So, you know, Ether could have been a potentially really good card in another format, but I just think there's better energy acceleration options. Like, you know, I'm sure we'll get the Colress Machine or Dark Patch, or like just simply running Electric or Blastoise. So I think Hypnotoxic Laser is probably just going to win out, because that's what it's going to kind of come down to. Do you run the laser, or do you run Ether?
Okay. And Ben, what do you think?
I actually like the card. I disagree with Mike a little bit. I think it provides a lot of room for creativity in the format. Sure, Colress Machine does it probably a little bit better, but it's kind of limited to, you know, what decks you can, you know, play with Colress Machine. Also, Ether, if you want to have energy acceleration in a deck that isn't normally an energy acceleration deck, then that's a pretty, you know, decent option right there. It allows you to get more energy on the field, maybe, depending if the top card's energy or not. If it's not, then hey, you got unlucky. But obviously, if you do get it, it could be pretty huge in a specific set of decks that were previously unplayable because you didn't have options like that.
Okay.
Let's go Virizion.
And Drew.
We'll see.
I just think the card is too random. The odds of flipping over an energy are too low. You'd probably have to run like Pokedex to make it worth it, in my mind, to at least alleviate some of the randomness. And at that point, you're running like anywhere from 4 to 6 cards. Why wouldn't you just run, or 4 to 8 cards? At that point, why wouldn't you just run like an EO line or something like that, which is a sure thing. So those are my views on the Ether.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with Pram in that this card just kind of came out too late. I feel like if it came out before the laser came out, then I think it would have been played. But now it's just you don't have the space for it, which kind of what Drew is. You're going to need to devote like 6, 7, 8 spots in your deck just to make this worthwhile. And if you're going to devote that many spots, might as well just run the laser for plus 30 damage. We might see Ether pop up at some point. I'm sure it's a really good card. I'm sure it can find some use somewhere, but for the time being, probably not going to get played. But who knows? We'll see. And then since you guys have been talking about it a lot already, I guess we'll just do Colress Machine next. Colress Machine, an item, search your deck for a Plasma Energy card, which is just a regular colorless energy, but it's a special one. Just because of the effects it can provide. It's a lot like the old React Energy back from Legend Maker. So Colress Machine, you can search your deck for a Plasma Energy and attach it to one of your Team Plasma Pokemon, a new mechanic, and shuffle your deck afterwards. So Colress Machine, basically an extra energy in play for your Plasma Pokemon. Ben, what do you think about this?
What card?
Colress Machine.
Colress Machine. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a really good card. Like I was saying before, it's usable with a lot of the new Pokemon in the Plasma set. I think it allows a lot of the Pokemon to certainly be played a lot more than they would be without the card. Without the card, like most of those Plasma Pokemon are just, ugh. But with it, yeah, you can get that energy on it much quicker, and I think it's neat, and I kind of like it a lot.
Okay, Drew, what do you think?
I think if you're running a plasma deck, 4 of these is like a no-brainer. It just enables you get powered up so much faster. There's no downside to it, so I have nothing bad to say about it. In your plasma deck, if you're splashing a Lugia EX into your deck, then you might have like a tough choice there. How many you're gonna play, but it's definitely a good card. Anything that allows free energy acceleration is awesome.
Yep, and Pram.
Yeah, it's I think the most obvious Pokemon to combos with is Lugia, but there's a couple other guys in there. It's just a pretty vanilla card in terms of what we have already. It's just a trainer card that energy accelerates. Pretty good. I mean, there's no downside really to it. So yeah, just good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've ever seen a card like this that just lets you search your deck for energy and just attach it to something for free, just as an item. That's a pretty ridiculous card just by itself. Just in theory, that on paper alone is just a ridiculous effect. And I'm sure as more Plasma Pokemon come out, we'll see this used a lot. It's hard to see this card not being good at some point. Or even now, who knows?
Well, I kind of just look at it the same as like energy gain, really. Like, come on, that was like almost the same thing. Just,
that was pretty good.
I think energy gain probably was better. So
I mean, I hate to see what happens when they release plasma dudes that can attack huge for like 2 or 3 energy.
Just wait until like I get the Super Lugia deck working. It'll be good.
All right, next up we have, well, kind of a familiar card. It's Dowsing Machine. It's an ace spec, so we have a new ace spec to work with. Discard 2 cards from your hand. Get a trainer card from your discard pile into your hand. Sounds a little familiar, but now you can only play one of the old junk arm, and now you can pick any trainer, not just items. So Dowsing Machine.
Item Finder.
What's that? Yeah, Item Finder.
Mm-hmm.
Brad, what do you think of Dowsing Machine? Is it worth it over the other ace specs?
It depends what you're playing. To be honest, like now you have your choice. Like basically, you had the auto pick of computer search. I mean, you could get a gold potion route, but that's kind of like you were sacrificing consistency. But now, if you want to be the consistent choice, you can go either Item Finder or Dowsing Machine or Computer Search, and this is really nice because like it lets you use like your 5th N, 5th Catcher. Works really well with Sableye because it lets you use your supporters that you've already used before. So it just combos well with really aggressive decks, and that's kind of the format. You know, like if you need that Hypnotoxic laser, just get it back with Dowsing Machine. Things like that. So really good card. And I think depending on what deck you're playing, it's much better than Computer Search.
Okay. Drew, what do you think? Item Finder?
When I first read this card, I forgot about the ace spec mechanic, and I almost like threw my monitor across the room like, come on, not this again. But it's definitely good. I think Computer Search is still the best card. Especially if you get an early game, you can search for whatever you want, but I would not like make fun of anyone or put them down if they had Dowsing Machine in their deck instead. It's obviously a very good card. I think Scramble Switch has potential as well, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later. So,
we're
very good cards.
Alright, Ben, Dowsing Machine?
I like it a lot. I actually think it's kind of better than computer search. It allows you to have more resources in your deck, like 5th Dark Patch, 5th Catcher, just like Mike was saying. I think the biggest drawback is that you're not getting double colorless with it like you would be with computer search. And it all depends on what deck. Yeah, I think if you're playing double colorless, you might want to think about it considerably. If you're not, I really like it.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree. It's all dependent on your deck, and I think it's interesting that we're getting so many different ace-spec cards now, and you really do have to make a choice. It makes things harder to predict what your opponent's going to play, and I think this one slot in everyone's deck is going to make a big difference in the future, especially now that we have the next card as well, which is Scramble Switch, another ace-spec. Switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon, and then you move all the energy attached to the old active to the new one. So basically a switcheroo. You just switch spots with the Pokemon on your bench. Obviously this can be really good with a ton of different cards. It is an ace spec though, so you only play one and it's going to replace your spot for computer search, or Dowsing Machine, or even Gold Potion if you played that. So Drew, what do you think about Scramble Switch?
Well, the first thing that pops into my mind is Krim's Wailord deck. It could have really used some Scramble Switches. But,
yeah.
It's just a good card.
Other than Wailord, what do you think?
It's just one of those cards that like screams potential to me. Like, this is a very broken mechanic that we haven't seen on a trainer card before, I don't think. So it's just interesting to me. I'm not sure what exactly it would be good with. I think maybe all the EX Pokemon are a little too good for it. It doesn't really help them out too much because they attack pretty cheaply as it is. But farther down the road, I think this could be a very good card.
Okay. Ben, what do you think?
I like this card a lot. I think it does less as far as ace specs for the more conventional decks like Blastoise or Darkrai, but if you're playing a more unconventional deck like possibly Ho-Oh, I mean, it gets all those energies off real quick if you get Ho-Oh on the active, like with a switch or something. Stuff like that, maybe some sort of Plasma Box deck or something. It could be pretty good. I think it's really neat, and I really like it.
All right, and Pram.
Yeah, I think this one's like the ace spec that with the most untapped potential out of all of them. Like, no one really knows offhand, like really what it goes well with. But there are going to be some things that Scramble Switch just break open, right? So, yeah, I really like it. I think you just have to find, like with all ace specs, you just have to find where it fits in best and where you can abuse it the most. So, a good card with a lot of potential. I'm excited to see where people take that card in.
Yeah, I feel like this is the one that honestly is the biggest game changer of all of them. Dowsing Machine is nice, gets you an extra resource, computer search, extra consistency, but this is a card that really kind of changes the mechanics of the game. This is the one I would be scared to face. If I knew someone was playing this, I would be scared out of my mind knowing that they could just drop this at any point. So I think this is the most powerful one-up card. It's just a matter of, is it worth it? And I'm sure we'll see plenty of people use it. And I'm sure it'll win plenty of games. But the main thing to see in what deck it'll shine the most. And I guess we have one more ace spec card, kind of the overlooked one that I don't think many people will play, but might as well just go cover it anyway. Victory Piece. It's a tool, you attach it to Victini EX, and then it basically just gets to attack for free. Is there any situation where this card is worth it in any deck?
Sure, if you go first.
Yeah.
Next set, maybe.
If you go first.
When you can actually search for tools, that would be good. But otherwise, you're not like, you know.
No, you can just go for Skyla or something. But if you just go first with Victini, and they start with
you do 100.
Yeah, you do 100. Woo, big money.
They're pooping their pants.
And, you know, they're not going to have a response turn 1. Oh, man, if you even combo with Verbank and Hypnotoxic Laser, 130. They probably more than move their guy, 160. Oh, you just knocked out an EX.
And you can knock out basics, you know, that set the stuff up with Hypnotoxic Laser.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But is anyone going to play the Creepies?
Maybe, yeah. I think if you start with Victini and you get the turn 1, you could just start like you could just roll over people like we did it, you know.
I'm sure on certain days of the week it'll be played.
Yeah, maybe Mondays it'll come out.
Yeah.
I think Tuesdays.
Sometimes on Tuesday.
All right, so that's all for the A specs. There are 3 of them, which brings us to a total of, I think, let's see, 7 now, between Computer Search, Gold Potion, Crystal Wall, Crystal Edge, and these 3. So I got 7 choices now. Basically going to be 4 choices for most decks, but there's 7 out there now. We'll see if we get any more in the future. It's an interesting mechanic. Weird that you have so many options for a card you can only play one of, but it's kind of cool in its own right. But let's move to the 2 supporters in the set. Now, people have been begging for more supporters in this format. You know, we finally got Skyla the last set. Now we have 2 new ones to work with. The first one's going to be probably the biggest one, which is Colress. You shuffle your hand into your deck, then you draw a number of cards equal to all the benched Pokemon. So if there are 10 benched Pokemon, you draw 10 cards with this supporter. Of course, it could also backfire, and you can draw a very low number of cards. But is Colress going to be worth it in this format? And we'll start with Ben.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people are going to have to start like limiting their bench maybe when they don't need to play more guys. They don't, just so their opponents don't draw more cards. But at the same time, you want to play them down like now so that you play Colress, you get a lot more cards. I think you're going to see a lot of Colress in a lot of decks.
All right, Drew?
I think this could be like a very good card right after the set comes out. You know, like that first states, everyone's like not quite warmed up to the Colress threat, and everyone's benching all their Pokemon like normal. But I could see it like its usefulness level off after that as people become more aware of their bench and manage it better. So we'll see.
Okay, Pram?
I think Colress is definitely one of the best supporters we have right now. I've always disliked being forced into Juniper. There's a lot of times where Juniper is like, oh, this is going to hurt so much. Well, now I have another shuffle draw. You know, I might not have to be forced into 4 of ends or things like that. I can like switch it up with Colress. And, you know, even at its worst, it's like decent. Like, if you fill your bench up and they only got like 1 bench, well, that's still 6 cards, you know. At its worst, it's decent. At its best, it's ridiculous. So, not too bad.
I think this is a supporter that's very bad early game because, I mean, if you go first and your only supporter is this, you're probably going to be in some trouble because odds are you're not going to have more than 1 or 2 bench Pokemon. Neither will your opponent. So I think early game is probably not a good supporter, but as the game progresses, it gets better and better. And it also depends on what direction the format heads into. If we stick around with decks like Electric, Blastoise, setup decks that need bench space, then this is obviously a much better card. But if it's just, you know, those straight-up Landorus Mewtwo decks, you know, the Darkrai Sableye decks, that only really need 1 or 2 bench Pokemon, that's going to hurt Colress a lot. So I guess it'll all depend on the metagame, and also I guess when you draw it. I'm curious, how many would you actually run in a deck if you ran Colress?
Depends what I'm playing.
Okay.
But I could see as many as 4, as little as 2.
So you'd run it in everything?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
Maybe in everything. Maybe.
Yeah, I feel like this is a card that'll have to be tested before we can get a sure answer on it. In theory, drawing 10 cards is pretty sweet, but who knows if they'll actually work like that.
It also depends on like what matchup you're in. Like if you go up against Blastoise and you have the Colress and you're just like, all right, I know they run Colress, but at least I'm drawing just as many cards as they are. So it depends. Like it depends on like. But if you go up against Darkrai, you're just like, well, I'm probably only gonna get like 6 cards max off this guy. Whatever. But even then, 6 cards is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah. But it's only gonna get you 6 if you gotta put a bunch of bench Pokemon down, which opens you up to catcher and all that stuff. So who knows? Not always as black and white as I'm gonna have 5 bench Pokemon all the time. I think that's probably where it loses a little strength. But again, we will see. It's too early to tell, probably. I don't think any of us have tested with the new cards. Has anyone?
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Alright, next supporter we have is Team Plasma Grunt. Discard a Team Plasma card from your hand and then draw 4 cards. Would this be worth it in a Team Plasma deck over other supporters like, I don't know, like Colress? And we'll start with Drew.
I think it would be very good in a Plasma deck. I don't know why you wouldn't run it. You'd have so many cards that said Team Plasma on it. 4, just draw 4 is awesome. Obviously you have to discard, but it seems like you'd have plenty of cards to discard if you were running a Plasma deck. You would have to be running a Plasma deck, though. Just like all Plasma, Pokemon, trainers, everything. I think you would run over Colress just because it's like good all the time, whereas Colress could maybe not be good sometimes, especially early game. So we'll see. I don't know if there's a strong enough Plasma deck right now, but it's definitely interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with Drew.
Alright, and Ben?
Yeah, I agree with Drew. If the Plasma is your deck, then the Grunt is your card, if you will. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. The more I think about it, the less I kind of like it. Like maybe drawing 6 is better, but drawing 4 new cards is pretty good, and you keep the cards you have. I think I like it overall. I don't know where I'd want to get rid of other supporters. You don't want to run like an insane amount of supporters, but I'm sure you could make some good decisions about what supporters you want to run.
Okay. And Pram, what do you think about Team Plasma Grunt?
I think initially it's going to be weak, but as we get more Plasma sets, there's going to be a lot more Plasma options. So that's when it'll turn into like a pretty good card. The card isn't like great, like it's not like overly broken in the way like say Colress can be potentially broken. All those other cards, but I think it's just a very solid supporter. Like right now, there's not many things that can really abuse it that much, but in the future, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to figure out what mechanic Team Plasma reminded me of, and obviously it's the Team Aqua, Team Magma stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think of that sooner, but yeah, I mean that card was always good back in the Aqua stuff. I think it was Team Magma Schemer or whatever it was last time, but yeah, good stuff. Drawing 4 is pretty good, and if you can always thin out Pokemon you don't need anymore, that's a bonus as well. So this is obviously going to be played in Plasma decks. I guess we'll just have to see how much. But we have, let's see, 3 trainers left to go through. First one's going to be Plasma Frigate. It's a stadium card. Each Pokemon that has any Plasma energy attached to it has no weakness. So that could be a pretty big deal, taking away your weakness on, for example, a Lugia EX. Could be a big deal. Anyone think this will see any play? And we'll start with Pram.
Yeah, Yeah, it'll definitely see play. I think stadiums are going to be more important because Hypnotoxic Laser is strong but not broken if Verbank's not in play.
Yeah.
So any deck that and the effect of Plasma Frigate's pretty good too. I think it'll get progressively better as we get more Plasma Pokemon. And I believe I saw something called Plasma Badge, which turns any other normal Pokemon into a Plasma Pokemon on the field. So when you get that comboed out and with Plasma Frigate, like just imagine a no weakness Darkrai just kind of running at you. Pretty good.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not for a while. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
So
He's already looking ahead.
maybe in the future
Darkrai's
it'll
not
be
a
good.
Plasma Pokemon.
But, as of right now, I think there are just better stadiums if you want to use a counter stadium. So, just keep it in your back pocket for now.
All right, Ben, Plasma Frigate.
No, I don't think it's going to see any play. I really don't think the Plasma cards that are out right now, with the weaknesses that they have and the format, is like warranted, having this card in the deck, other than it being like a stadium counter, which I don't even know if you would want to do because you play your own Hypnotoxic Laser Beam Poisoners. But no, I don't think it's good at all. And maybe when there's more Plasma Pokemon that are worth it using for, maybe. But right now, no.
Drew?
I think you guys misread the card because it says Plasma Energy. It doesn't have to be a Plasma Pokemon necessarily. You could just have a Plasma Energy in anything.
Yes, I did. Touche.
It can be attached to any Pokemon.
So,
It just has
if
to
you
be a
want to use
Plasma
Darkrai running at you now, go for it.
Like I said, it's not worth using.
Hey man, what if you get a Mewtwo with a Plasma Energy on it?
Dude, that makes the card worse. That makes the card so much worse. Because you have to, if you're attaching a Plasma Energy to a non-Plasma Pokemon, you're attaching one colorless energy to one of your Pokemon, and you're using your attachment for the turn. Also, they can replace the stadium because I'm sure they're playing Burbank City Gym. It's bad.
Yeah.
Actually,
Hey man,
I disagree. I think if you teched in
That's why you're losing.
I think if you teched in Plasma Frigate in with if you ran a one of Lugia, it could be kind of cool. You'd be already running Plasma Energies, right? So, I think that route would be pretty cool. Would have to explore it more though.
yeah, what about, you get a Plasma Frigate out there, you got a couple Plasma Energy loaded on your Pokemon, and then boom, you drop a Scramble Switch onto a Mewtwo.
Ooh.
Then what?
They better have that Verbank.
I think I'm winning.
Counter.
I think if you have I'm pretty sure I just won the game if you do that.
That's what you think.
I see a Plasma Frigate, I see Plasma Energy, and I see a Scramble Switch, and I go, woo! Because I see him on a Mewtwo.
You're gonna eat your words. You'll see.
I don't know. That's actually legitimately very good. I don't know what
Okay,
you're talking about.
you want me to name some combos that are ridiculously good that I could just, pick some cards and put them together?
Hey, that's what we're saying. This card opens up opportunities for stuff like that to happen.
No, it's not good.
All right, man. You want to be the crew of this show? Go for it.
Yeah, okay.
He's so mad now.
I'll see you guys later.
All right, next card we got Escape Rope, reprint of good old Warp Point. I don't know why they have to rename these cards, but Escape Rope. Each player switches their active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So it's basically a double switch. Your opponent switches first, so it gives you the advantage of seeing what they send out first. But Is escape rope worth playing over Switch? We'll start with Pram.
It's so tough. Like with like before you had to run warp points, because you had no way to force them out of the active now. But now that you have catcher, I think Switch is just better because it just gives you more control of the situation. So I think Switch is just better. Bad time, and as to why they renamed it, warp point is not an item found in the game, whereas escape rope is.
Okay, can you find the hypnotoxic laser in the game?
Yeah.
Maybe. You give me enough time to play through.
Okay,
and
let me know.
find it.
It's not in the game. Trust me.
Alright. Drew, what do you think of escape rope?
I'm kind of with Pram on this one. I don't think it is as good as just like the Switch and catcher separate cards right now. I think a lot of that has to do with your opponent is probably going to have some Pokemon on that bench that they can send up and have no threat at all that it's going to be just destroyed or something like that. Everything is like a huge HP basic Pokemon, so your opponent probably has a safe play, and it's just not worth it to run it, in my opinion. You'd rather just run like Switch or something.
Okay. And Ben.
Absolutely. I think it's 100% worth playing over Switch, and I think it's like 100% better. Like it. A lot of the times, at least turn one, your opponent's gonna have some.
100% you're throwing out there.
Yeah, it is. That's like I don't even know, but a lot of times your opponent's gonna have like a Sableye or something active, and they're playing Darkrai, and their bench is just full of Darkrai's. Well, I don't really want to knock out that Sableye. Now I can knock out a Darkrai and switch in the Pokemon that I want. Or not necessarily knock out the Darkrai, at least get some damage on it, and I don't have to use a catcher that way. I think it's just overall way better. Yeah, there's situations where, you want to hit the guy hitting you. But you also have catcher in case you need to do that, in case you need to do both.
Yeah, but the only decks running Switch are like Eel,
or like every deck, because Hypnotoxic Laser.
You can have Keldeo.
Well, okay, would you guys be opposed to running like a split of Switch and escape rope? Because most decks nowadays run 3 or 4 switches.
No, I don't think that makes sense.
Depends how many Skylas I'm running. If I'm running a high count of Skyla, I could see a split.
I think having the Skyla for an escape rope when you have a Switch in your hand just sounds like, I mean, sure, it could be good in the situation, but it just seems like one of the most awful things that could happen to you.
Yeah, but then there's like places where you want the Switch instead of the escape rope.
I think I mentioned that when I first started talking.
So like,
I know, but
they're both going to be good in different situations.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you just pick the one you think is better in most situations, and you just play 4 of that one.
I mean, like, you're gonna still run catcher, so it's like,
right.
I see no reason to not split it at the very least.
Whoa, that's weird. That's bizarre.
All right. Alright, so there's some conflicting opinions, but we'll see. I'm sure escape rope will be used at least a little bit. It's been around. I mean, Warp Point was a card that was around almost forever, and honestly wasn't played for very long. I mean, it didn't catch on until one season in 2008. I think was the big breakout year for Warp Point. Overall, in its existence, the card wasn't played too often. It was always around.
I always played it.
It was played in Blaziken.
Yeah. I mean, it was never a card that was heavily
Learn
played,
your history.
I was around. Switch
everyone
just...
played it.
Yeah.
I always played Warp Point. You're crazy.
Yeah, like you would play like
but
4
it was
Warp
a split
Point.
back then too, right? So
No.
you would play Switch and Warp Point.
Oh.
No, it wasn't.
No?
Because, no, what would happen is you would Warp Point in the Blaziken EX. So it didn't matter what they sent up. You just shot something
Yeah.
for 100.
It was just.
I remember still playing Switch.
Also,
You
retreat
suck,
costs
Kyle.
weren't as high, so like you could, if you didn't want to play the warp point, you could just retreat.
Okay, yeah, it was good in 2004 and 2008, but I don't think was it good in any of the other years.
Let's see, 2005 we had
2007 it was played as well.
Mm-hmm. I guess we'll just do this history lesson real quick.
2002.
2002.
Was it 2002? No, that was Double Gust.
Yeah,
Was it Double Ghost?
Yeah,
Oh,
Double
yeah.
Gust. It was Double Gust
Wow.
with the
that's
Sweet,
why Warpoint was never really played that much.
with
'cause Double Gust-
Suicune with the legendary dogs. You'd use like Suicune.
Oh, that was pre 2002, man. I was
Yeah.
talking like Worlds 2002.
Hmm.
Well, I know from 2010 on, when I started playing, you pretty much just played Warpoint when it was legal.
Yeah, I mean that's because like, you didn't have catcher. Like the fact that you have catcher in the format makes Switch legitimate.
I think it makes Escape Rope more legitimate.
All right, well, we'll see. I
And-
guess time will tell.
The real question is, will Team Warpoint change their name?
Team Escape Rope.
Get with the
I know, we'll have to
times.
see. All right, we have one trainer left, and that is Bicycle. The reprint of Mail from Bill from an old set, a card that was notoriously bad. But nowadays, people are saying Bicycle might be playable. It's a draw until you have 4 cards in your hand. It's an item. Doesn't take your supporter for the turn. Is Bicycle worth it in your decks? And we'll start with Drew.
No. I didn't even know this was a reprint, so I think that tells it right there. If I didn't know what this card did before, it's just not good enough. If you think about it, how many times are you gonna have like 0, 1? You'd want this to be your 1 card in your hand, ideally, so you would draw 4. Like that never happens where you only have 1 card in your hand. And if you have like 4 cards, you're just drawing 1 card. So that's probably, it's just not good. Not good. You're not getting any card advantage with it.
All right, Ben, Bicycle.
I really have no idea, but first guess, I think it just doesn't make sense, and a lot of times it just does nothing. So probably not good.
Okay, and Pram.
You know, the more I play around with it in my head, I think it's like mediocre. It could be like maybe good, but like you really have to play down your hand completely. I mean, you can do it. Like, how many times do you see like someone play down their hand to just 1 card left and it's a Juniper, right? You see that all the time. So, I could maybe see it. I don't know the counts for it, because like if you run 4 bicycles, then like you end up like maybe getting like a bicycle, like 2 bicycles in your hand, and that's just no good. So it's something you have to toy around with, but I could see it maybe being decent. Just the fact that it's a draw card that is on an item.
Yeah, would you guys consider playing one if you have a lot of Skylas in your deck? Is it worth playing one just to be able to grab out of your deck?
Yes.
No.
You got a yes and a no, Drew.
No.
Okay. I think Bicycle's probably going to be a mediocre card, like Pram said. I think in order to make it useful, you would have to run a high number of it. Like, it's not a card that you just play one of. I think if you're searching for it, you could probably always find something better to search for.
Yeah, I think you gotta be playing some sort of odd like Uxie Donk deck, which I don't think there's enough cards in the format to do that kind of thing.
Just wait until my Super Lugia deck just gets in there with bicycles and
Yeah, we'll
Colress
see.
Machines.
It's a card I could see maybe having potential at some point, but just the way it looks, just draw until you have 4 has never been strong in Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
Even draw until you have 6 is just mediocre.
Yeah, people complain about having Bianca, and then I don't know what makes Bicycle so good.
Yeah.
But again, we'll see. Time will tell. Overall, the trainers are pretty strong in this set. Probably the strongest set of trainers we've had in a long time. Just there are lots of options for decks. Pretty excited to see what'll happen. Scared at the same time because of the laser and Burbank and Ether and Scramble Switch and Colress Machine. These things just make the game very unpredictable, I guess, which scares me as a player, but it makes things more exciting, I suppose. So overall, trainers, what do you guys think? Good, bad, what? We'll start with Drew.
I think the trainers make the set. Definitely, there's not many good Pokemon. Like, none at all. Maybe Lugia X. Maybe I'm missing
We'll
something.
get to the
but
Pokemon.
yeah, so definitely a trainer happy set, and I like it. I like that most of them are actually just like straight up trainers, which adds, it adds a little fun to your deck, a little flavor. I like not too many supporters clogging everything up. I don't like Hypnotoxic Laser, what it'll probably do to the game, I think, but overall, I like the trainers.
I think because of the trainers, the set might actually be funner to draft than any other set I've ever been around for.
Could be true.
Yep.
All right, and Pram.
Yeah, the trainers overall are just good. I like them. Like Drew said, though, I'm a little on the fence on Hypnotoxic Laser. I like deep down, I'm thinking this card is I'm just gonna hate, but I'm gonna end up running it anyways because I have to. So.
All right. So I guess we shall move on to the Pokemon then. I mean, as we've been saying, the trainers make the set, but there are Pokemon here too. There are a lot of interesting Pokemon, not quite competitive play types of Pokemon, but we'll look at them nonetheless. We're going to go by type. Grass is first. I had Torterra on the list. I looked at it again, and I decided we're not even going to talk about it. So we're
Yet here we are.
and we're going to start off with the only interesting grass Pokemon, which is Amoonguss. For one colorless energy, Astonish, you flip a coin and have to choose 3 random cards from your opponent's hand, and they have to shuffle them back into their deck. Obviously, you would use this with Victini's Victory Star. Give yourself a 75% chance to get a Hooligan's Gym and Cast off. And I guess you could also play Hooligan's Gym and Cast with this. Do you ever see this being a worthwhile hand control strategy? And we'll start with Drew.
Well, let me tell you, I made a hand control deck with, I think, Bohemian is the name of the card. Yeah, Bohemian, whatever. Which actually lets you look at your opponent's hand and choose a card and put it under their deck. So, the number of times my opponents with a top deck out of that being completely locked with dead cards is outrageous, and there's just way too much draw supporter for this to ever be a viable strategy. So, sorry, Amoonguss. I wish you were good.
Anyone else opinions on Amoonguss?
I mean, I've already end people down to 1 and they draw out of it. I don't need to experience that while me actively trying to go for it.
It could be cool.
Yeah, that's
all I got.
It could be cool.
Yeah.
Alright. That's it for grass Pokemon. I mean, there is absolutely nothing else. There's a Cherim that heals 24 Pokemon that has grass energy attached to it. That's not worth it by any means. Yeah, moving on. Fire Pokemon. Also not a whole lot to pick from, but there are a couple decent ones. The first one's going to be Victini EX. It has 110 hit points, which is really bad. Since it is an EX, it'll give up 2 prizes. But the first attack is Turbo Energize. For 1 pair, search your deck for 2 basic energy cards and attach them to your bench Pokemon any way you like. Do you see this ever being good? Just giving 2 extra energy on the first turn. And we'll start with Ben.
Yeah, I kind of do. I think you got to base your deck around with V and using it in 1. And you also have to kind of deck that is okay with using fire energy. So you either have to have a fire attacker, which is probably not that great. You could go like heavy restrooms or something like that. Or you have to have colorless Pokemon, and there's a lot of good colorless Pokemon. I really dislike that it's an EX Pokemon, but I guess that's what balances out. It's like, amazing turn 1 attack for 1 energy. Um, it could be good. I don't actually think going down 2 prizes early from them knocking out your setup Pokemon is that bad, because then you end them to 4 before like they even get fully set up, and you have a bunch of energy on the field and a bunch of basic Pokemon probably ready to just go nuts on them. So it could be okay.
All right, Pram.
Yeah, if you go first, really good. But otherwise, like Ben said, it's kind of hard. Like, the fire Pokemon are kind of lackluster. You'd have to find something to go well with it. So, not really sure exactly what you would use Victini with, but there's potential there.
And Drew, any thoughts?
I actually think Victini has potential to be like a cool deck someplace. I think Victini is gonna make a splash at some big event. Someone's gonna play Victory Piece. They're gonna have, if you whiff the first turn Victini with Victory Piece attacking, you could just power up some huge attacker like Terrakion, Darkrai. There are a ton of good basic EX Pokemon, so I really like Victini actually. To me, I see doing 100 with Victory Piece is just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I don't think decks can beat that.
doing that with no energy too. It was like sick.
Yeah. I think
Who knows?
Victory is gonna make a splash. Woo!
All right. Drew is the one who said it first. Yeah, first attack is good. It's just the 110 hit points is going to be whether or not it gets played, especially with the laser out. Jeez, that 110 is very scary. You're getting knocked out by just about everything. But yeah, we'll see. I could definitely see it being good someday, but it would just be one of those cards that has potential and nothing ever comes of it. Next card, basically just going to use. I think I lagged a little bit there, but that's alright. Next card I have is Infernape with Malevolent Fire. 120 damage for 1 fire, 1 colorless. Discard all energy attached to this Pokemon. Obviously, you would use this with Colress Machine, since it is a Team Plasma Pokemon, and every turn you could be doing 120 damage. I guess you 4 times. Is that strong enough to survive in today's format? And we'll start with Drew.
I don't even know why we're going over this card. You have to use so many resources to keep this thing going. First of all, it's a Stage 2, which are not good right now. It is a low HP Stage 2 Pokemon, and you discard all your energy every turn. So you need what is it, Colress Machine every turn to attack, or like in some other energy acceleration, eel or whatever. It's not very good.
Okay. Anyone else?
I kind of like it. Torment is a neat attack when you don't use Malevolent Fire. They have to switch. Most of the EX Pokemon only have 1 good attack, so Torment could mess somebody up if they're not ready with the switches, or Keldeo or something like that. I think it's obviously bad versus Keldeo. I mean, it's not terrible because either way, even if Keldeo didn't have 2 times weakness towards it, it would only need 1 more energy to knock it out anyways. I don't think it's worth getting up a Stage 2. I think there's a lot of basics that just do it better. But Torment is interesting, and the Malevolent Fire for 2 is very interesting as well. Free Retreat as well. Could be okay. Got some synergy there with Victini, kind of.
Kinda. Alright, Pram.
Next.
Okay. Next we have, and honestly, I'm just going to mention every EX Pokemon in the set, because why not? Moltres EX, I think this is the worst EX in the set, but what do you guys think? I can't find anything good to say about it, but anyone?
Sure. Next.
I think it's no.
Alright, that's all that needs to be said. Alright, that's it for Fire Pokemon. Moving on to the Water Dudes, we have Articuno EX, For 2 water and 2 colorless, it is Frost Prison, does 80. And if this Pokemon has any plasma energy attached to it, automatically paralyzes the defending Pokemon. So this would have been extremely good in previous formats. Now there are things like Keldeo. There's no more Trainer Lock, stuff like Vileplume. Is Frost Prison a viable attack anymore? Anyone?
Yeah, I think so. If your opponent doesn't have like Switch, or Escape Rope, excuse me, they're in for some like trouble. Like they just took 80 and they're gonna take like another 80 or just get knocked out by something else next turn. That's a lot. Also, it's acceleratable with the whatever it's called, Colress Machine, and Blastoise kind of. I don't know if you're gonna be able to do a deck where they both fit together, but it couldn't. It's not. The 2 water thing is kind of a lot. With 4 energy total is kind of a lot. Maybe it could be good. It's interesting.
All right, Pram.
This is one of those cards that could have been really good if Hypnotoxic Laser didn't get printed. Because as a result, everyone's going to be running like high counts of Keldeo, high counts of Switch, and thus it just makes the paralysis effect much weaker for the cost.
Yeah.
If Articuno costs like 3 energy, maybe like 1 water, 1 colorless, and then you had to add the plasma energy, right? I could see it being a little bit more viable, but for the cost of the attack and the fact that everyone's going to be running some kind of switch mechanic, bad timing.
Okay, Drew.
I think if you're playing a Blastoise deck, you might as well throw it in to test it out, see how it is. I just
keep in mind you gotta run plasma energy too then.
Yeah. I just don't see. To me, the problem is the damage. It only does 80 damage. If they have an Eviolite attached, it's only doing 60. And 80 times 2 is only 160. That doesn't kill any EX. And if with Eviolite, it's also a 3-hit KO too. And if you're playing Blastoise, you probably can't use Hypnotoxic Laser as effectively as maybe a big basic EX deck would. So I just don't see it. To me, it's the damage output. Just
maybe Frost Prison
doesn't do enough for me.
And then you Scramble Switch into Lugia EX.
Hey, who knows? Alright, next card I have Manaphy. Really scraping for stuff here. The ability is nothing great. When it's knocked out, you get the search your deck any card to put in your hand. That could be useful, but the attack is done for. You flip 3 coins. What's that?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Seafaring, you flip 3 coins for each head to attach a water energy from your discard pile to a bench Pokemon. So, if you flip 2 heads, it's 2 extra attachments that you just kind of get out of nowhere. You get it from your discard pile. Does this work? Is this ever going to be worthwhile over running Blastoise?
Hey, you? First off, Final Wish doesn't even activate if you get knocked out by poison. So,
yeah,
that's a big thing. So because of that, and because of Hypnotoxic Laser, I don't really like Manaphy all that much.
Anyone else?
I think it's attack. The fact that it's you're flipping for this attack, which even if you weren't flipping, I don't think it would be like something you want to do to get energy acceleration, because you're not attacking. Because you are attacking. I mean, you're not attacking with your main dudes. No, this is pretty bad.
All right.
There was a Jirachi that had the same ability once, and it didn't get played at all. I just think types of abilities are too easy to play around. Your opponent isn't going to just attack into your Manaphy ever, give you a free card.
Yeah.
So it's just not good.
All right. Last water Pokemon I have is for Bad Deck Monday, Mammoth Slime. for 2 water, 2 colorless, continuous headbutt. Flip the coin until you get tails, same damage times the number of heads. So if you get 2 heads, you knock out an EX. What do you think?
Well, considering the first attack is also a flip, I'm sure you're running Victini. So, hey man, you get those 2 heads, you're in good shape.
Yeah. Bad deck Monday, pretty soon. Alright, next. We're
It's
gonna move
not-
on to lightning Pokemon.
It's a stage 2. It's not energy acceleration. It's terrible. Next.
You can play Blastoise.
Ether.
I'm offended for you mentioning this. You play with Blastoise, get your 2 stage 2 Pokemon out on the field.
Ether, man, Ether.
Yeah, 2. Alright, next we have lightning Pokemon. Once again, not too many good ones here, just some fringe playable ones. First one's going to be Magnezone. The ability Dual Brains. During turn, you can play 2 supporters. The attack is nothing to write home about, but is the ability ever worth getting stage 2 into play for? We'll start with Ben.
Maybe. I really don't think, because it doesn't do anything to help your other Pokemon. I mean, you're really not going to be attacking with this guy. It's not good enough for that. So it's a stage 2 that doesn't help your other Pokemon attack. I don't like it.
Anyone else?
The 2 supporter thing is cool because you can go like Skyla and then you get a the supporter you actually want with Skyla, and then use it the same turn. So that's pretty nice. But the attack is just not that good, and like you'd have to like put it into some kind of walling Pokemon like a Sigilif or a Gothitelle, and that's just a lot to set up. So you might actually just be losing by the time you actually get anything going. So I don't really like it too much.
Right. Drew?
Yeah, in order to make your deck probably run better on the 2 supporter gimmick, you'd probably run a lot of supporters, which would kind of make it hard to get out initially, in my mind. And also, there's not many turns where you'd get like very good use out of 2 supporters. There'd be like double end turns, double Juniper turns, which are just like you're just burning resources at that point and not doing much productive activity with your 2 supporters. So I just don't like it too much.
All I'm going to say is double hooligan. And we'll move on. Other lightning Pokemon is Zapdos EX. Another underwhelming EX. Power Volt does 120 for 4 if you have plasma energy attached to it. I suppose you could throw this into an electric deck. Do you guys think this will see any play?
Nope.
I would just play.
I think it's the worst EX of the set.
Yeah, I would just play basic Zekrom.
Better than
Why don't you
Moltres.
play
Not.
Raikou or something.
Yeah, there's plenty of other better lightning Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
The
It's
only
weak to itself.
it's sweet. That's it. But we'll move on to Psychic Pokemon. There are
hold
a
up.
couple in here.
Rotom's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
Who's
60
not
points.
No.
Rotom's good in Eels.
Got 60 hit points.
Yeah, I mean, like, you get, like, Landorus, but come on, that deck
Yeah.
already gets Landorus anyways, right? You just, like, you play that deck ignoring that issue anyways. So, I think it's good. You discard Lightning, draw 3 cards. What's not to like about it? And you Poltergeist? That's huge. Poltergeist is huge in the format.
Poltergeist.
If you ever use Poltergeist, let me know.
20 times.
Alright.
Next.
Psychic Pokemon. First one I have Crobat. The ability, you just draw an extra card every turn. You attack for 1 Psychic and 2 colorless, does 40, and then puts 4 damage counters with poison on the defending Pokemon between turns. Plus the Burbank City Jimmy, get it out there. You're putting 6 on the defending Pokemon every turn. So basically, if they don't switch out, they are dead. Is this going to be a good card? It's a ton of poison damage. Anyone?
I kind of like it. I think if you built a deck around like just going nuts with Crobats, it could be really annoying if they don't have enough switch cards or whatever, and they just like taking 6 a turn. It's not really weak to anything that's attacking you, so it seems pretty cool. It's got the free retreat and stuff. You can mess with people. Ultimately, I think it's too much of a something that gets hit too hard by Darkrai when they play the Dark Claw, but could be okay.
Okay, anyone else?
I think if you can consistently Toxic Fang them, it's really good. So like
Ultra Toxic Fang.
Yeah, it's too wordy. So like if you run the Aether Engine, it doubles over nicely with Crobat because of Pokédex. So like you can kind of predict what you want to draw.
You could also run Colress Machine. Sorry, it's a Plasma Pokemon.
Oh yeah, that's true. Maybe, yeah, that too. I mean, DCE might just be better, or a combination of both.
Both, yeah. I think both would be good.
But I think if you can consistently do it, like Pokédex becomes very strong with Night Sight. So I think it has potential. Maybe.
All right, Drew.
I wish the tag cost 1 less colorless or something. It just seems like if it was 2, it might actually be playable, but 3 might get in your way sometimes.
Yeah, it wouldn't even have to do damage.
I love the retreat though. It's got free retreat. You don't see that very often these days. So, woo! Go Crobat.
Alright, seems like kind of might have some potential someday. It might eventually just end up falling short since so many people are going to be running switch cards anyway, but that's a lot of poison damage.
Well, it does like 100 base almost. That's pretty good.
It's not bad. We'll see. Stage 2, who knows. Next card I got on my list is Giratina. The attack is Hex. For 1, Psychic 2 colorless does 50 plus 50 if they have a special condition. So, obviously you play this with the Hypnotoxic Laser, automatically doing 100 plus the poison. Is that good enough to be worthwhile in the format?
It's weak to dark, Ben. Man.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That can be good and bad.
Yes, I think it's good enough to maybe see some small amount of play.
Okay.
Maybe.
Drew?
I don't like it. Next.
You can have an amazing turn 1 Hex for 130.
Yeah, that would take a lot of cards, but you can do it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next Psychic Pokemon I have is just Wheezing, just for the unique ability it has. If it's knocked out by damage, you discard the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. Smog Bank for 2 does 20 to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Like, I think in past formats this card would be borderline broken, but nowadays the power creep is probably caught up with it. Do you guys ever see Wheezing being good?
Not as long as Darkrai is around.
Alright.
If it only had 1 retreat. Or 0.
Why does that matter?
Well, then, because you could, like, switch, like, you could do, like, Gyro Ball into Wheezing, things like that.
I think it would be better if, like, it had 10 less HP so you could level ball for it, or 1 more retreat cost so you could heavy ball for it. Otherwise, I think it's, like, at the worst possible point.
Okay. Drew?
20 damage is not good enough anymore. It's not going to KO anything anytime soon. I mean, that's 9 turns for like any EX, so not good.
Yeah. Right. Next, I just have probably not even worth mentioning, but there's a new Garbodor. You could probably run one of these if you're playing a Garbodor deck. The attack does 20 times the number of retreat, and the defending Pokemon's retreat cost for 2 colorless. Would you run one of these in a Garbodor deck just to have an alternate attacker with your Garbodor line? Is that worth it?
Um, nope.
It doesn't really hit any significant amount of damage, but who knows?
And it gets
Just
hit by Mewtwo pretty hard.
The
Alright.
one with Biosmog is decent.
What?
Alright. Just throwing it out there, we got 2 new Garbodors to work with. Look out if you're facing the Garbodor deck. They could evolve into that one.
Yeah, I mean, like, just being like, hey, I can discard your energies on a flip. Maybe.
Yeah, who knows? Alright, fighting Pokemon are next. Once again, nothing too overwhelmingly good. Ones that stick out to me. First one is Lucario. It has Hurricane Kick for 1 fighting, 2 colorless, does 60 plus 30 for each prize card your opponent has taken. So, kind of like Shaman EX's Revenge Blast, but it does 30 more. So that makes it so you hit the magical 180 number a little sooner when they take 4 prizes. Is this ever going to be worthwhile in any deck?
Maybe in Kling Klang, but that's pretty much the only deck that can really do it.
It is a stage 1. It takes fighting energy. It's honestly just going to be used as a closing Pokemon to take your last 2 prizes. Is there anything this could ever fit in? Klang, you said?
Yeah, Kling Klang. Maybe Blastoise if you really want to get techie with it.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can run Blend Energy. It's on the water blend wheel.
Yeah.
Nope.
Alright. Drew?
I don't like it. Next.
Okay. Next, we have Lunatone. The ability is Premonition. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and you can rearrange them. If you're going to run Ether, is it worth running a Lunatone just to get a peek at your next 2 cards?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like the card a lot. You can level ball for it, and if you're playing a deck where you don't need that much like bench space for your actual attackers and stuff, it could be pretty neat with like a whole Ether engine or something, or like even with has some synergy with Colress itself. It's pretty cool.
You can level ball or heavy ball for it. They thought this one out.
There we go.
Yeah. It's good. If you run Ether.
I mean, if you don't run Ether, there's no point. But yeah, I think if you run Ether, if you're already devoting those spots, I'm pretty sure you would just run Lunatone then. Might as well.
Plus,
like
you can do it a bunch of
Lunatone
times.
without-
Like, if you have like 4, for some reason, if you had like 4 Lunatones on the bench, and like you're burning through the top of your deck, you could Premonition a bunch.
You
So,
could.
Yeah.
Drew, did you say something?
I like it even without Ether, man. Put your top 2 cards back in any order you want. That's awesome.
Alright. That's your opinion, I suppose.
Yeah. Just wait till I'm
Next.
Lunatoning you.
You can control your draw with it.
Plays Musharna in every deck. I guess this does look good to you. Alright, next we have Dark Pokemon. I had live on the
Next.
list. I'm not even going to look at it anymore. We're going to move on. Sad set for Dark Pokemon. Next we have Metal Pokemon. Now this is a big section. You know, the biggest one is going to be Kling Klang. It has the ability Plasma Steel. Prevent all damage done to your Metal Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's EX. So all of your Metal Pokemon have a Safeguard ability once you get this Kling Klang out there. Obviously a very strong ability. Are Metal Pokemon good enough to take advantage of this ability? And we'll start with Pram.
Yeah, I really like this Kling Klang. You know, all the attackers in the format right now are EX. So when you have this ability on all your guys, it's clearly really good. So it's really just kind of getting a good Kling Klang deck hammered out. You'd have to check. Like, you couldn't run the traditional build as it is right now. That wouldn't make any sense. That wouldn't be abusing this ability at all. So, and it looks like we have a dropped call issue. Huh? Well, get right back with this. Get this fixed up.